Language learning series. Repeatedly listening and saying for 100 times.
All right, get this. What if I told you that a guy who was like dead last in his high school English class managed to totally change his life using just one cartoon? I know, it sounds impossible, but it's actually a true story and it's behind this pretty wild approach to language learning called the 100 LS method. So let's break down exactly how this thing works.
So the core of this method is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. You take one piece of media, like a simple cartoon, and you watch it, you listen to it, and you speak it 100 times. Yeah, 100. It might sound incredibly boring, maybe even a little nuts, but as you're about to see, the results are pretty undeniable. So let's meet our guy, Jang Dong-wan. Now, he was your typical Korean student, and he really struggled with English. I mean, he couldn't remember vocabulary to save his life, his listening comprehension was a total mess, and he'd get so nervous he could barely string a sentence together. By all accounts, he was just not good at English.
And yet, fast forward to his 20s, and that same guy was pulling in an annual salary of 200 million Korean won. We're talking over 140,000 US dollars a year. So the big question is, how on earth did he do it? How did one single cartoon become the secret to that kind of success?
So what was the secret? Well, Jang Dong-wan figured out that he was facing this fundamental problem, one that honestly many of us who learned a language in a classroom can totally relate to.
He realized that, yeah, he could read English text just fine. But the moment he heard native speakers talk, it was just noise, a blur. And this is such a classic problem, isn't it? We're taught English as a subject you study from a book, all about grammar and reading. We basically learn text English, but we never learn sound English. And that right there led him to a huge realization, a total mindset shift that is the foundation of this entire method. He figured out that for real fluency, English isn't just a bunch of facts you memorize. No, it's a physical skill that you have to train. Just take a look at this comparison. On one side, you've got the knowledge approach. That's what we all did in school, right? Memorizing grammar rules, vocabulary lists, stressing about test scores. But on the other side, you've got the skill approach. This is all about repetition, building actual muscle memory in your mouth and your tongue, and getting that automatic response. You know, just like you would if you were learning to play guitar or shoot a basketball.
And this quote from Jang really gets to the heart of it. He's basically saying you don't fail at English because you repeat too little, but because you've never repeated one thing to the extreme. Think about that. Our problem isn't a lack of effort. It's that our effort is scattered. We try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, instead of going all in and truly mastering one thing through insane repetition.
And that's how he created what we now call the 100 LS method. It's super simple. The L is for listening, and the S is for speaking. The formula is just that. Listen first, then speak. And you do it again and again and again, 100 times until it's completely automatic, like breathing. Okay, so that's the big idea, the theory behind it all. But what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the whole method is broken down into 5 very specific steps, and they're designed to take you from, all the way to effortless fluency. Okay, let's walk through this. Step 1, you watch the whole thing once with 0 subtitles. Don't stress about understanding everything. The goal is just to get the general vibe of the story. Step 2, watch it again, this time with subtitles in your own language. This is where you connect the sounds you just heard to what they actually mean. Okay, step 3. Now you switch over to the English subtitles. Here's where you match the English sounds to the English words, and you want to jot down any parts that feel tricky or you stumble over. Now, step 4. This is the real workout. You're going to repeat and shadow. You listen to just one line, hit pause, and then you say it out loud over and over until you can say it smoothly. This is all about building that muscle memory. And finally, step 5. For the last 90+ times, you watch it with no subtitles at all, speaking along with the characters, really getting into the rhythm and the flow of the language. All right, I've got to be honest with you. Step 4 is the most important part, and it's also the hardest. Jang himself calls it anti-human because it's so repetitive. You'll find there are sentences you totally understand when you hear them, but you just can't say them smoothly. Your mouth just won't cooperate. And that gap, that friction, is where the magic happens. The goal is tough, but simple. Get your mouth to catch up to your ears. Because like Jang says, if you can't say it, you don't really know it.
Okay, now let's be real. This method is intense. It is brutally repetitive. And because of that, a ton of people who try it, they just give up. So if you really want to succeed, you first have to understand why almost everyone fails.
Yeah, the failure rate is pretty shocking. We're talking around 90%. As you can see, this is no magic trick. It's a full-on mental and physical workout. And honestly, just knowing how tough it is, that's the first step to actually beating the odds.
So why do so many people quit? Well, for one, they pick the wrong material. They'll try to do this with the news or a complex drama instead of a simple cartoon. Big mistake. Second, they just watch passively without actually moving their mouse. Remember, if you're not speaking, you're not really doing the method. Other big traps? Getting hung up on being perfect, obsessing over the number 100 instead of just focusing on the process, and thinking this is some kind of magic pill. It's not a trick, it's a workout.
All right, so the pure method of watching a whole movie 100 times? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen for most of us. We've got jobs, school, lives, but that doesn't mean the whole thing is useless. We can totally adapt the main ideas into a realistic plan that you can actually stick with. So here's how we make this work for real life. First, forget the whole movie. We're going to use short clips like 30 to 60 seconds long. Second, forget the number 100. Your new goal is just 5 to 10 minutes of active speaking practice every day. That's it. The focus completely shifts from hitting some crazy number to just building a consistent daily habit.
So, here are your new rules to live by. Rule 1. Break it down. Use tiny, bite-sized clips. Rule 2. Set a ridiculously small minimum goal. I'm talking 5 minutes a day. You can do that. Rule 3. Use the gaps in your day. Practice while you're on the bus, doing dishes, whatever. Rule 4. The 30-second subtitle rule. Only turn them on for a quick check if you're stuck, then turn them right back off. And the most important rule of all, don't break the chain. It is so much better to do 1 minute of practice than to do 0. So I want to leave you with this final thought. We always think about language progress in terms of how many new words we've learned, right? But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? What if the real measure of fluency isn't about the size of your vocabulary, but about how smoothly and easily the words you already know just come out? What if progress isn't a number you can count, but a feeling you can build?